Well, a father and son duo from Great Falls has been in the sled dog business for the past 7 years now. MTN's Casey Herman sat down with Brett and Spencer Brookman and shares their story.
From Great Falls, Montana, Spencer Brookman.
Spencer has lived his whole life unable to do traditional sports.
I was born with a birth defect in my left leg that caused it to be shorter and skinnier than my right one, which means it takes about double effort per step for me to walk or run.
Being hard coming from a family of football players.
It used to affect me a lot. When I was growing up, both of my brothers were big football players, and then my dad was in college and high school.
But father and son had another plan.
Spencer was reading Jack London's books, Call of the Wild, and some of the famous sled dog books, and I was reading books about how the Yukon was, during the gold rush, how they used dogs. I said to my wife, you know, I'd really like to have a dog team. She said, no, we're not going to do that. And so I put it on in the back of my mind.
But coming from her son, Mom was easier to convince.
I was in the car with my mom, and I just randomly blurted out, we should start a dog sled team. And she pulled over and said, you've been talking to your dad. Neither
of us knew we were interested in it, and so she figured it must be fate and gave us the thumbs up. 2 weeks later, we had about 10 dogs, and we're on our first run. I thought it was just going to be a small-time thing, but my dad always dives into things head first.
From 10 dogs to now 36.
A dog will never let you down. You have to trust them to get you through the race, but you also have to trust them to obey you and to believe you.
When you start off and hook the dogs up to the sled, they just go crazy, and you can tell they were born to run.
Both Spencer and Brett mush about 3 races per year.
It can be anywhere from 200 to 350 miles. There's not a lot of races around, so it's a lot of training and work for so few races.
And the anticipation is building for the biggest race of them all.
The Iditarod, it's a 1,000-mile sled dog race. You're on your own, you can't have any outside help. And that's kind of a test of man and beast. It's pretty daunting for sure, but it got under my skin, and that's why I'm going back.
A long journey from what was a football family, now a sled dog family.
I have something I can do that I think is a lot cooler.
Now, Spencer was too sick to mush in Montana's Race to the Sky in Lincoln this weekend. And although he is too young to qualify for the Iditarod race in Alaska, Spencer hopes in a few years he and his dad will be able to both mush the 1,000-mile race.